am the lucky person who gets to talk to those astronauts. Why? I work at Bioserve Space Technologies at the University of Colorado, Boulder. How did I get there? Let me tell you my story. I was 9 years old growing up in Malaysia when I saw a magazine with Sally Ride on the cover, America's first woman astronaut. Seeing her in that blue flight suit, I decided I needed to be an astronaut. My teachers were quick to tell me this was not possible. Malaysia did not even have a space program. I didn't quite see how this was relevant. Anyway, I decided to be a little bit more pragmatic, and by age 12, decided I would be an aerospace engineer. When it came time for college, I looked at aerospace schools, saw that CU Boulder is #1 in NASA funding, and it was #4 in aerospace engineering. Clearly, this is where I was gonna go. I had not even looked at a picture of campus, so imagine my surprise when I arrived and saw the view. I felt like I had won. I'd hit the jackpot. At CU, I soon learned of Space Grant, a program that allows students to get hands-on experience on NASA projects. Determined, I talked my way into the program as a first semester freshman, and pretty soon after that, found myself in Florida watching the launch of Space Shuttle Discovery, carrying an experiment a group of students and I had worked on. That was one of the first amazing experiences my time at CU. After graduating, moved back to Malaysia. Turns out, Malaysia was starting its own astronaut program. I wrote the Director General of the Malaysian Space Agency asking for a job. I spent 3 months battling her secretary to get that appointment, but when I finally met her, a CU class that I'd taken in space habitation helped me answer her final question, you know, that tricky one at the end, and she hired me on the spot. I had to hit the ground running at this job. I was told on my very first day that we had to select Malaysia's first astronaut. We screened 11,000 applicants, narrowed it down to the 2 best candidates, because in aerospace, always have a backup. Now that we had our astronaut chosen, it was time to design his science program. I called up my CU mentor, Alex Hone, and to convince Bioserve to come and give a crash course to our scientists on space experimentation. They did. So over the next few months, I traveled to Russia extensively. Often, I was the only woman in the room, as I represented the government of Malaysia negotiating every detail of our astronauts' mission. On October the 10th, 2007, our astronaut launched, and this started the most exciting 11 days for me. I was in mission control every day of his flight, monitoring every aspect of his mission. This is also the first place I got to talk on space to ground. The mission went flawlessly. The landing was a little tense in mission control as the capsule had a malfunction and landed off course. All the astronauts were fine, and my 9-year-old dream had come true. This was as I was wrapping up the Malaysian astronaut program, another opportunity presented itself. I spent the next 3 years living in Amsterdam and working for the European Space Agency's Human Spaceflight Program. The dream was always to come back to Boulder, and when I heard Bioserve had a job opportunity, I went for it. It was time to get back to the US. Bioserve Space Technologies is an industry leader, space life sciences implementation partner. We enable scientists to do research in this unique environment. Since 1991, we have flown over 175 experiments. We have had a permanent presence on the space station since 2001. Our experiments have generated over 400 articles. What this means is Bioserve and designs experiments to make life better on Earth. We're not only working at curing diseases that are common and deadly, but also to reduce the effects of muscle and bone loss, things that happen when we age. Another unique aspect of Bioserve is we work with graduate and undergraduate students at CU. We give them the opportunity to work on space missions. This is very different from student projects. These are real experiments with real science where failure is not an option. Another aspect of what I do in my job is I train the astronauts on our hardware before they fly and walk them through the experiments as they're conducting them on the station. Traditionally, this was done through Capcom, like you've seen in the movies. But NASA decided to streamline things and allowed me to talk to the astronauts directly. I was the first person outside NASA to get to do this. Accurate communications are critical for mission success. However, astronauts are human beings working in a very high-stress environment, so sometimes a friendly voice can make all the difference. Peggy, Whitson, and Jack Fischer, two astronauts that I worked with recently. Peggy Whitson, whose nickname is the Space Ninja, she holds numerous records, including she has spent more time in space than any other American. Jack Fischer is a Colorado native. His enthusiasm is infectious. When he was in space, he was in a media interview and he was asked if his mission had any connection to CU. He said, "There's a gal there named Shankini that we talk to every day." Turns out Peggy and Jack had given me a nickname. The next astronaut I worked with said, "Hey, the Space Ninja said you're the Space Yoda, and I'm supposed to do everything you say." The Astronaut Corps has an award called the Silver Snoopy. It's given for professional excellence. It is given to the top 1%. It's given to who they regard as the very best. I was honored and touched when Jack Fischer surprised me with this award at a CU event. I was even more touched when I found out my award was from both Peggy and Jack. This was a highlight of my career, but not the only one. CU and Bioserve sponsored me for my green card application. This was a long and difficult process, and right about when things were looking hopeless, and I thought I would have to leave the country again, my application went through. I am now a permanent resident of the United States, and in a mere 4 years and 2 months, but who's counting, I can apply to be a citizen. I can't wait. So that is how a girl growing up in Malaysia got to talk to astronauts for a living. The thread that runs through my story is CU. I'm grateful for all the opportunities it has given me, proud to be an alumni, and I'm happy to be part of a group that's making the world a better place. Thank you.